In the aftermath of World War II, a new era dawned, marked by geopolitical shifts and burgeoning tensions. From the ashes of wartime intelligence gathering, the Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, emerged in 1946. President Harry Truman signed the National Security Act, formally establishing the agency. The CIA's initial mandate was clear: to gather and analyze foreign intelligence. It was tasked with staying ahead of threats to national security, primarily from the burgeoning Soviet Union. Domestic operations were strictly off-limits, a responsibility falling under the purview of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI. The specter of Pearl Harbor loomed large, a stark reminder of the costs of intelligence failures. However, the line between intelligence gathering and covert action proved to be malleable. The CIA's role expanded rapidly. Fueled by Cold War anxieties, the agency's budget swelled, reflecting its growing influence and reach. From a modest staff of 35, the CIA ballooned to over 100,000 personnel during the Cold War's zenith. This exponential growth mirrored a world increasingly defined by proxy wars and clandestine operations. The CIA's transformation from a nascent intelligence service into a powerful force with global reach had begun. The CIA's early years were marked by a sense of urgency. The Iron Curtain descended upon Europe, and the threat of communist expansion cast a long shadow over American foreign policy. The agency's focus shifted from simply gathering information to actively shaping events in foreign lands. This marked a crucial turning point, blurring the lines between intelligence and intervention. The CIA's involvement in numerous covert operations, from influencing elections to orchestrating coups, would come to define its legacy in the decades to come. The CIA's actions were often justified as necessary measures to combat communism. However, critics argue that these interventions frequently undermined democratic movements and propped up authoritarian regimes. The agency's role in shaping global events, often shrouded in secrecy, continues to be a subject of intense debate. The seeds of controversy, sown in these early years, would continue to bear fruit for decades to come. The Cold War provided fertile ground for the CIA's growth and operational expansion. With the Soviet Union perceived as an existential threat, the CIA's mandate broadened. The agency became increasingly involved in covert actions, aiming to influence or control political landscapes across the globe. The CIA's activities extended to every corner of the world, from Latin America to Southeast Asia and Africa. One of the CIA's most significant interventions occurred in Iran in 1953. Operation Ajax, as it was known, aimed to depose the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh's decision to nationalize Iran's oil industry, a move seen as detrimental to US and UK interests, triggered the CIA's clandestine machinations. The agency, working in tandem with British intelligence, orchestrated a coup d'etat. The operation successfully reinstated the Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, as a pro-Western monarch. A year later, in 1954, the CIA orchestrated another coup, this time in Guatemala. President Jacobo Arbenz, who had implemented land reforms that challenged the dominance of the United Fruit Company, became a target. The CIA, under the auspices of Operation PB Success, trained and equipped a rebel force to overthrow Arbenz. The operation plunged Guatemala into decades of civil war and instability, a stark illustration of the unintended consequences of covert actions. These interventions in Iran and Guatemala serve as stark examples of the CIA's growing influence and willingness to intervene in foreign affairs. These actions, often taken in the name of national security, had far-reaching consequences that continue to resonate today. The coups left a legacy of resentment and instability in their wake, shaping the political landscapes of these nations for decades to come. The CIA's actions during this period cemented its reputation as a powerful and often ruthless force on the world stage. The CIA's interventions in Iran and Guatemala exemplify the agency's modus operandi during the Cold War. covert actions to shape political outcomes in line with US interests. These operations, while shrouded in secrecy, had profound and long-lasting impacts on the targeted nations. The consequences of these interventions continue to reverberate today, shaping the political and social landscapes of Iran and Guatemala. In Iran, the 1953 coup d'état that ousted Prime Minister Mossadegh had far-reaching consequences. While the coup successfully installed a pro-Western regime, it also sowed the seeds of resentment against the United States and the Shah. This resentment ultimately contributed to the Iranian Revolution of 1979, which saw the overthrow of the Shah and the establishment of an Islamic Republic in Guatemala. The 1954 coup that toppled President Arbenz plunged the country into decades of civil war. The CIA's backing of a military junta led to widespread human rights abuses and instability. The civil war, fueled by Cold War tensions and ideological divides, claimed the lives of an estimated 200,000 people. The long shadow of the CIA's interventions in Iran and Guatemala serves as a stark reminder of the unintended consequences of covert actions. These operations, often justified as necessary measures to combat communism, had devastating and long-lasting impacts on the targeted nations. The coups resulted in the loss of life, political instability, and a deep-seated mistrust of the United States. The CIA's role in these events continues to be a source of controversy and debate. These interventions also highlight the ethical dilemmas inherent in covert actions. The CIA's actions in Iran and Guatemala were taken without the knowledge or consent of the American people. The lack of transparency and accountability surrounding these operations raised serious questions about the agency's role in a democracy. The CIA's actions during this period serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the importance of oversight and accountability in intelligence operations. The Vietnam War stands as a stark reminder of the perils of covert actions escalating into full-blown conflicts. The CIA's involvement in Vietnam, initially focused on providing support to the South Vietnamese government, gradually morphed into a deeper entanglement. The agency's role in the 1963 coup that ousted President Ngo Dinh Diem, a pivotal event that escalated US involvement in the war, remains a subject of intense scrutiny. As the war dragged on, the CIA's activities expanded to include intelligence gathering, covert operations, and even participation in the Phoenix program, a controversial counterinsurgency program that targeted suspected Viet Cong members and sympathizers. The Phoenix program, plagued by allegations of human rights abuses and extrajudicial killings, further tarnished the CIA's image and fueled anti-war sentiment. Beyond the battlefield, the Vietnam War had a profound impact on American society. The war divided the nation, sparked widespread protests, and eroded public trust in the government. The CIA, once seen as a bastion of American power and ingenuity, became increasingly associated with the war's failures and moral quagmires. The agency's reputation suffered a significant blow, as its actions in Vietnam came to symbolize the dangers of unchecked power and the unintended consequences of covert operations. The Vietnam War also marked a turning point in the CIA's relationship with the media and the public. The war, broadcast into American homes on a nightly basis, brought the realities of covert actions and their human costs into sharp focus. The My Lai massacre, exposed by investigative journalist Seymour Hersh, shocked the nation and further eroded public trust in the government and the CIA. The war underscored the need for greater transparency and accountability in intelligence operations. Section 5. Whispers of drug trafficking. As if the quagmire of Vietnam wasn't enough, whispers of a more insidious entanglement began to surface. Allegations emerged of the CIA's involvement in drug trafficking, a charge that struck at the heart of the agency's already tarnished reputation. The CIA, tasked with upholding American interests, was now implicated in a trade that fueled addiction and crime within its own borders and beyond. These allegations centered around the agency's covert operations, particularly during the Vietnam War. Sources claimed that the CIA, in its pursuit of funding anti-communist forces, had turned a blind eye to, or even facilitated, the drug trade. The most damning accusations pointed to the CIA's involvement with drug lords and their networks, using the profits from heroin and cocaine trafficking to finance covert operations. The epicenter of these allegations was the Contra affair, a scandal that rocked the Reagan administration in the 1980s. The Contras, a right-wing rebel group fighting the socialist Sandinista government in Nicaragua, became the beneficiaries of covert CIA support. It was alleged that the CIA, in its clandestine support of the Contras, had facilitated the trafficking of cocaine into the United States. The profits from this illicit trade, the allegations claimed, were then funneled back to the Contras, effectively making the CIA complicit in the drug trade. The CIA vehemently denied these allegations, but the damage was done. The agency, already struggling to regain public trust after Vietnam, now faced accusations of being complicit in a trade that was tearing apart American communities. The Contra affair, while never definitively proving the CIA's direct involvement in drug trafficking, cast a long shadow over the agency's reputation, further fueling public distrust and raising serious questions about its accountability. Section 6. Exposes and the price of truth. The CIA's activities, often shrouded in secrecy, have not gone unchallenged. Investigative journalists, driven by a commitment to truth and accountability, have played a crucial role in bringing to light some of the agency's most controversial operations. Their exposés, often met with resistance and denials, have shed light on the dark underbelly of covert actions and their consequences. One of the earliest and most significant exposés came in 1975 with the publication of a report by a Senate committee chaired by Senator Frank Church. The Church Committee's report revealed a pattern of CIA abuses, including assassination plots against foreign leaders, illegal surveillance of American citizens, and involvement in coups and other covert actions that destabilized democratically elected governments. In the 1990s, journalist Gary Webb wrote a series of articles, later published as the book Dark Alliance, that exposed alleged connections between the CIA, the Contras, and the crack cocaine epidemic that ravaged African American communities in the United States. While Webb's reporting was initially met with acclaim, he later faced intense criticism and was ostracized by some in the media. These journalistic investigations, despite facing backlash and attempts to discredit them, have played a crucial role in holding the CIA accountable. They have revealed the true cost of covert actions, often hidden from public view, and sparked public debate about the agency's role and oversight. The courage of investigative journalists in the face of powerful forces seeking to silence them has been instrumental in shining a light on the CIA's activities and demanding transparency. Despite these exposés, the full extent of the CIA's activities remains unknown. The agency continues to operate in secrecy, its budget and many of its operations classified. The ongoing struggle between the CIA's desire for secrecy and the public's right to know is a testament to the importance of a free press and vigilant watchdog organizations in holding powerful institutions accountable. Section 7. The JFK Files Secrets Unveiled. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963 remains one of the most significant events in American history, shrouded in controversy and speculation. The CIA, due to its secretive nature and involvement in covert operations, has been a central figure in many of the conspiracy theories surrounding Kennedy's death. The release of thousands of classified documents related to the assassination in recent years, while shedding light on some aspects of the event, has also fueled further speculation about the CIA's potential role. One of the most intriguing revelations from the released JFK files is the extent of the CIA's covert operations during the early 1960s. The documents detail the agency's involvement in plots to assassinate foreign leaders, including Fidel Castro of Cuba and Patrice Lumumba of the Congo. These revelations fueled speculation that the CIA, with its history of covert actions and disregard for international law, may have been involved in Kennedy's assassination, either directly or indirectly. The documents also revealed the CIA's deep involvement in Cold War-era intrigue, including the Bay of Pigs invasion and the escalating conflict in Vietnam. These revelations provided further context for understanding the political climate at the time of Kennedy's assassination and the potential motives of those who might have wanted him dead. The CIA's role in these events, often at odds with Kennedy's own foreign policy goals, has led some to believe that the agency may have viewed Kennedy as a liability. While the released JFK files have not provided conclusive evidence of a CIA conspiracy in Kennedy's assassination, they have raised more questions than answers. The documents highlight the CIA's culture of secrecy, its willingness to operate outside the law, and its potential to act independently of presidential authority. The ongoing debate about the CIA's role in Kennedy's death, fueled by these tantalizing glimpses into the agency's past, is a reminder of the importance of transparency and accountability for intelligence agencies in a democratic society. The JFK files also underscore the need for further investigation and the release of all remaining classified documents related to the assassination. The American people deserve to know the full truth about this pivotal event in their history. The continued withholding of information only serves to fuel speculation and mistrust. The CIA, for its part, must be open and transparent about its past actions, even if they are uncomfortable or controversial. Section 8. A legacy of distrust and the call for transparency. The CIA's legacy is complex and fraught with controversy. While the agency has undoubtedly played a crucial role in gathering intelligence and safeguarding American interests, its history is also marred by covert actions that have destabilized governments, toppled democratically elected leaders, and violated human rights. These actions, often taken in the name of national security but shrouded in secrecy, have eroded public trust and raised serious questions about the agency's accountability. The CIA's involvement in coups, assassination plots, and other clandestine operations has left a trail of unintended consequences across the globe. From Latin America to the Middle East and Southeast Asia, the CIA's interventions have often sown the seeds of instability, fueled anti-American sentiment, and undermined the very democratic ideals the agency was created to defend. The long-term costs of these actions, in terms of human suffering and damage to America's reputation, are immeasurable. The CIA's culture of secrecy, while understandable in some aspects of intelligence gathering, has also served as a shield to prevent accountability for its actions. The lack of transparency has made it difficult to assess the true costs and benefits of the agency's operations and has allowed abuses of power to go unchecked. The CIA's resistance to congressional oversight and its history of misleading or withholding information from elected officials have further eroded public trust. In the wake of the September 11th attacks, the CIA's role in combating terrorism has come under intense scrutiny. The agency's use of torture, extraordinary rendition, and other controversial interrogation techniques has sparked a national debate about the balance between national security and human rights. The CIA's involvement in drone strikes, while effective in eliminating some terrorist targets, has also raised concerns about civilian casualties and the lack of transparency and accountability surrounding these operations. Section 9. The Unseen Hand. The CIA's future in a changing world. The CIA faces a myriad of challenges in the 21st century. The global landscape is changing rapidly, with new threats emerging from non-state actors, cyber warfare, and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. The agency must adapt to this evolving threat environment while also addressing the legacy of distrust stemming from its past actions. The use of technology, particularly in the realms of surveillance and cyber warfare, presents both opportunities and ethical dilemmas for the CIA. The agency's ability to collect vast amounts of data raises concerns about privacy and civil liberties. The CIA must find a balance between utilizing new technologies to combat threats and safeguarding the rights of Americans and individuals around the world. The CIA's future success hinges on its ability to learn from its past mistakes and regain public trust. Greater transparency and accountability are essential for ensuring that the agency's actions are aligned with American values and interests. This includes greater congressional oversight, a commitment to disclosing information about its operations whenever possible, and holding individuals accountable for human rights abuses and other illegal activities. The CIA must also adapt its recruitment and training programs to reflect the changing demographics of American society and the globalized nature of threats. A more diverse workforce with a broader range of skills and perspectives will be essential for understanding and responding to the complex challenges of the 21st century. The CIA plays a vital role in protecting American interests, but its actions must be tempered by a commitment to the rule of law, human rights, and democratic values. The agency's future success depends on its ability to adapt to a changing world, regain public trust, and operate with greater transparency and accountability. The unseen hand of the CIA must be guided by a commitment to ethical conduct and the principles that define American democracy.